Let's kick off with Jean-Claude Juncker's outburst in the European Parliament this morning. The President of the European Commission was in Strasbourg to talk to MEPs, but not many turned up to the meeting. Take a look at this.
There were only a few members in the plenary to control the Commission. You are ridiculous.
Je vous en prie d'utiliser un langage différent. Nous ne sommes pas ridicules. Je vous en prie, s'il vous plaît. Je vous en prie.
I will never again attend a meeting of this kind.
Oh, well, our Europe reporter, Adam Fleming, is in Strasbourg and joins us now. So Jean-Claude Juncker very upset that not many people rocked up to hear him talk.
Yeah, Joe, you've been to Strasbourg before. You know that normally this
Many
place
times.
is buzzing with MEPs and officials. Yeah, it is actually much quieter today. Corridors in Strasbourg. Certainly this morning it was. Things have picked up in the last hour or so as MEPs have started coming into the building. And there's various different theories about why the chamber was so empty this morning. One British MEP said the fact is loads of his colleagues have started their 7-week summer holiday already. This is the last session of the Strasbourg Parliament before the summer holidays start. His theory that lots of people just aren't turning up at all. Then you speak to other people who say, well, the real work of Parliament is done in much lower profile committees and meetings with delegations from other countries and from the Council and the Commission, and that people were in other meetings this morning. Right through to a very senior MEP who just told me on the QT that the reason lots of people didn't turn up to hear this report about how the Maltese 6-month presidency of the EU had gone was because people thought it was one of the worst presidencies on record. So loads of different theories for why the chamber was so empty this morning. I was in there. There were definitely fewer than 100 people listening to Mr Juncker speak alongside the Maltese Prime Minister, and lots of those people were Mr Juncker and Mr Muscat's officials, so very few MEPs were in there.
Right, well, thank God you turned up, Adam, to swell the ranks in the European Parliament. I mean, Jean-Claude Juncker threw his toys out the pram, it seemed, a little bit. He got a royal telling off, though, didn't he, from the European Parliament President.
Yes, Antonio Tajani told him off for using bad language to describe the Parliament. It's quite similar to the Parliament at Westminster in that sense, in that you're not allowed to use certain bad language in the chamber. So he got a ticking off. But that didn't stop him. He said, Mr Juncker, that he would never come to a session like this ever again. I've been in contact with Mr Juncker's people, asking them whether that means he will never come to Strasbourg and sit in the plenary ever again, or whether he meant that he'll never come to a session that's so sparsely attended.
Right.
Mr Juncker meant what he said, so I'm not clear.
Right, OK, well, thanks for clearing that up, or not. MEPs, do they think that's a promise or a threat by Mr Juncker?
Well, I think some MEPs here would quite happily not see Mr Juncker again, especially the Eurosceptics, so people like Nigel Farage and his fellow UKIP MEPs who have made a career out of dissing him in the chamber. And the fact is there is a bit of confusion about the timetabling for what's happening in this Strasbourg session, because a big discussion that was timetabled for tomorrow about what had happened at the last European summit and the Brexit negotiations, that's been cancelled so that lots of MEPs and officials and high-profile figures can head off to France for the funeral of Simone Weil, who was one of the first presidents of the European Parliament. So there is a bit of confusion about just actually what's happening here in Strasbourg this week as well.
All right, Adam Fleming, we'll leave you there in Strasbourg. And Longfield, it is a bit dispiriting if no one turns up to hear you talk, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I've just come from one of my events, which was packed, I've got to say. So I'm being difficult not to be a bit smug here. But I'm just not sure it's the best way to go about getting people on side is to harangue them and insult them. And never's an awful long time.
Yes, let's see if he actually sticks to that.
I don't know about some bright new fresh start for Europe. It looks a bit more like the knacker's yard for failed domestic politicians.